We are the Rizki-Produkt official TV, political actors advocating for institutional and structural comprehensive reformation underpinned by social democracy in the Gambia. Streaming our contents from the heart of Banjul City in the Gambia. This is the fifth and final segment of the multi-part series video content focusing on the concept of the economic multiplier in the context of the Gambia's economy. In this series finale, we will be focusing on some case studies of 5 transitioned economies' effective policies of stimulating their economic multiplier in some key sectors. The intention is to consolidate all the premises and inferences mentioned in the preceding segments of this multi-part series through the presenting of empirical evidence case studies. Please don't forget to show your support by subscribing to our channel for more contents of political activism and socio-economic orientation in the Gambia. Let us now look at some of these case studies from different countries that have successfully implemented similar policies in the sectors we discussed earlier. These examples of case studies can offer valuable insights into how the Gambia might apply similar strategies to boost its economy. 1. Agriculture and agro-processing in Rwanda. Rwanda, like the Gambia, is a small country that has prioritized agriculture to drive economic growth. The government focused on modernizing agriculture through value addition and export promotion, while reducing reliance on imports. This could not have been possible without key policies implementations from the Rwandan government. Such policies are crop intensification program. The government provided farmers with subsidized seeds and fertilizers to boost crop yields. It also promoted the use of irrigation and improved farming techniques. Agro-processing promotion. To reduce post-harvest losses and add value to raw products, Rwanda invested in agro-processing industries for crops like coffee, tea, and horticultural products. Export promotion. Rwanda worked on improving the quality of its agricultural exports, particularly coffee and tea, by adhering to international standards. It also entered into trade agreements to open new markets for its products. The results the Rwandans realized could be itemized as follows. Rwanda saw significant increases in agricultural productivity, especially in staple crops like maize and rice. The agro-processing sector expanded, leading to more job creation. Coffee and tea exports increased, making agriculture one of the leading contributors to Rwanda's GDP growth. The country reduced its reliance on food imports and achieved improved food security. What lessons can the Gambia take from this Rwandan microeconomic strategic move? Subsidies and training, which can be classified as providing farmers with the necessary inputs and technical knowledge, can increase productivity. Agro-processing hubs. Developing local processing capacity will allow the Gambia to add value to its agricultural products, like cashews and groundnuts, before exporting them. Diversification. Expanding beyond traditional crops into high-value horticulture and exports can improve trade balances and incomes. Second case study we will be looking at in the Indian information technology and telecommunications. India's IT sector has grown rapidly to become one of the largest in the world. The country is now a global hub for software development, IT services, and outsourcing. Like the Rwandan government, what key policies did the Indian implement to gain such successful magnitude in IT? Tax incentives for IT firms. India established special economic zones with tax incentives specifically for IT companies. Firms within these zones received tax breaks and simplified regulatory procedures. Government investment in education. The government prioritized STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, education. It funded technical institutes and universities to produce skilled labor for the IT industry. Public-private partnerships. India developed public-private partnerships to build digital infrastructure like fiber optic networks, which provided high-speed internet access even in rural areas. The results and gain the Indians realized were: India's IT sector grew to contribute around 7.7% of the country's GDP, employing millions directly and indirectly. The country became a global outsourcing hub, with major companies such as Infosys, Tata Consultancy Services, and Wipro providing services to clients worldwide. High-tech exports surged, making India one of the largest exporters of IT services globally. It is all brilliant to understand the Indian successful microeconomic story that boosted its macroeconomic activities, but what lesson can the Gambia take from this? Special economic zones for IT. Establishing IT-focused special economic zones with tax incentives could attract foreign firms to set up operations in the Gambia. Invest in STEM education. Building capacity in IT through targeted education programs can produce a skilled workforce. Digital infrastructure. Expanding broadband and internet access nationwide, especially in rural areas, can enable the growth of e-commerce and digital services. We will now look at Vietnam's manufacturing and industrial development as our third case study. Vietnam has successfully transitioned from a low-income agricultural economy to a middle-income country with a strong manufacturing base, particularly in electronics and textiles. What key policies were the drivers of the Vietnamese successful manufacturing and industrial sector? Foreign direct investment. Vietnam implemented policies to attract foreign investors, such as tax holidays and land incentives. It created a business-friendly environment by reducing regulatory red tape and enhancing transparency. Special economic zones. Vietnam established special economic zones with favorable tax conditions and streamlined procedures for businesses. These zones focused on export-oriented manufacturing in electronics, textiles, and machinery. Bilateral trade agreements. Vietnam signed several free trade agreements with the European Union, the US, and other major markets, which opened access to global supply chains. What benefits did the Vietnamese gain from these policy actions? Vietnam became one of the world's leading exporters of electronics, textiles, and footwear. It integrated itself into global supply chains, especially in electronics manufacturing. The Vietnamese economy experienced rapid industrial growth, with manufacturing contributing significantly to GDP growth and job creation. FDI inflows surged, with foreign companies establishing production hubs in Vietnam. Can the Gambia take any lesson from the Vietnamese? FDI attraction. The Gambia can attract foreign investment by offering similar incentives, especially in special economic zones for export-oriented industries like textiles or light manufacturing. Trade agreements. Expanding trade agreements can help open new markets for manufactured goods. Integration into global value chains. Leveraging competitive labor costs and a favorable geographic location could allow the Gambia to become a manufacturing hub in West Africa. Now let us look at Kenya with its renewable energy and green growth. Kenya is a leader in Africa's renewable energy sector, especially in geothermal and solar energy. The country has prioritized green growth as a means of achieving sustainable economic development. Like all developed nations, there were key policies as drivers of this Kenya's success story. What was it? Public-private partnerships in energy. Kenya attracted private investment in renewable energy projects by creating favorable conditions for public-private partnerships. The government also provided guarantees to reduce the risk for investors. Renewable energy strategy. Kenya developed a comprehensive energy strategy to invest in geothermal, wind, and solar energy projects. The government offered subsidies and tax exemptions for renewable energy technologies. Feed-in tariffs, FITs. The government introduced FITs, which guaranteed long-term purchase agreements for energy produced from renewable sources, ensuring a stable market for investors. The results Kenyans realized were as follows. Kenya now generates about 90% of its electricity from renewable sources, particularly from geothermal and hydroelectric power. That's a whopping 90%. Energy costs have fallen, benefiting both businesses and households. The availability of affordable renewable energy has also attracted manufacturing and industrial investments. Kenya has reduced its dependence on imported fossil fuels, improving its trade balance. There are definitely huge lessons for the Gambia to learn from Kenyans to reduce the energy and utility poverty in the Gambia. Renewable energy investment. The Gambia can create incentives for renewable energy projects, such as solar farms, to reduce its reliance on imported energy. Public-private partnerships in energy. Attracting private investors to finance large-scale renewable energy projects could increase energy availability while reducing costs. Feed-in tariffs. Introducing FITs for solar or wind energy would create a stable market for local and foreign investors interested in renewable energy. Let us look at our final case study for this topic of impacting the economic multiplier in the Gambia. Our final case study is Singapore's education and skills development, as there is no economic growth without education and skills development. Singapore, a small country with limited natural resources, transformed itself into a global economic powerhouse by investing heavily in education, particularly in technical and vocational training. What key policies made this a success? Skills Future Program. This lifelong learning program provides government-subsidized education and training opportunities for Singaporeans. The focus is on building skills for emerging industries, such as biotechnology, advanced manufacturing, and IT. Partnership with industry. Singapore's government worked closely with the private sector to ensure that educational programs were aligned with industry needs, ensuring that graduates had the skills required by employers. Technical and vocational education and training. Singapore invested heavily in technical and vocational education and training to equip its workforce with practical skills needed in the global economy, such as engineering, IT, and logistics. The results were astounding. Singapore has one of the most highly skilled workforces in the world, making it an attractive destination for high-tech industries and multinational corporations. The Skills Future program has helped the workforce remain adaptable, allowing the country to stay competitive in a rapidly changing global economy. Unemployment remains low, and Singapore is consistently ranked as one of the world's most competitive economies. Lessons for the Gambia in this Singaporean's transformative economic story. Lifelong learning and skills development. The Gambia can introduce programs to continuously upskill its workforce, especially in areas like IT and renewable energy. Private sector partnerships. By aligning educational programs with the needs of key industries, the Gambia can ensure that its workforce is ready for emerging opportunities in sectors like manufacturing and IT. Focus on vocational training. Investing in vocational training centers and creating pathways from education to employment would help the Gambia build a skilled workforce. It is equally important for the Gambia to assess its absolute and comparative advantages prior to embarking on any economic transformation and transition. Thank you for watching and joining us on this educative economic success stories that evolved around stimulating the multiplier in an economy like the Gambia. Please, before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more contents of political activism and socio-economic orientation in the Gambia. Together we can make the Gambia a prosperous economy we can all proudly call home without militant tendencies and sentimentalism.